Good evening, campers, and welcome back to Elite Dangerous. I'm Commander Exorcist. You are currently aboard Granny's Buick, my T9, as I am working to build what is probably the last large station in my new home system, Apostles Lighthouse, which is an Orbis construction. And yeah, what a beast building one of these things by itself can be. So in today's video, everyone, welcome. We are just going to be hauling. I think I'm going to do 2 or 3 runs from Miller Station to my build, what I'm currently working on. And during the time that I'm doing these runs, I'm just going to kind of talk a little bit about how things are going with Trailblazers in Elite Dangerous in general, and talk about kind of some of the challenges that we've faced in the last few weeks, because there have been a few. And then I've got a couple of things that I would like to suggest going forward. And then, you know, there's some nuance to making suggestions. So before we get started, as usual, if you enjoy my content, please remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below telling me how things have gone for you in Trailblazers or just in Elite in general lately. It's been an interesting year so far. There's already a lot announced, but there's still a lot to come, and not sure how some of that's going to work out. So especially with the way that colonization is going and what is actually happening here. Yeah, this is one of the things we're going to talk about. As you notice, we're in an extremely long Braven tunnel at the moment. There we go. Oh my god. So yeah, that's been an issue for the past couple of weeks. Comes and goes. Anyway, we are underway. We're on our way to Miller installation, which is just a single jump away from my home system. It's good resources for aluminum and steel and some of the bigger stuff, like, you know, the main things. Some of the more nuanced stuff like insulating membranes and other weirdness, I have to go a little bit further, but I'm fortunate enough to have a couple of stations within a jump or two of where I am building my headquarters. And I'm gonna sit down here on this planet. So, you know, I'm hoping very soon that I'm able to transition away from talking about this particular topic, because I think there's been enough of it over the past few weeks, and I feel like that's kind of all I've talked about, and I'm a little tired of it, to be honest. So, you know, I'm going to talk about Trailblazers in this respect, and I think going forward, I still have a plan to do a colonization tutorial video, but I am really waiting for some of the mechanics to get nailed down a little more solid than they are now. So once that occurs, and once we're sure that what we're dealing with is actually what's going to be the permanent setup for colonization, then I will have a colonization video coming out. And I will also be doing, if there's any significant updates on the status of the colonization, like if they were to put it on pause for whatever reason coming up, then I would make sure that I will say something about it. But for now, yeah, I think I'm gonna probably take a break from talking about it. I'll say this, involuntarily is pretty much the only way I'm going to talk about it. As you know, we got the Brewer ships launched, so the mega ships are out there. So that means that Taco Tuesday will most likely be another colonization video. But after that, a lot of my Let's Plays and stuff, I think we're going to steer away from talking about it. I may participate in it, which I still am. I'm enjoying it. So let me get this straight. Let me get this out there. I really like the new colonization system. I like the idea of being able to colonize the galaxy, to build my own installations. You know, I have an installation which was really awesome on Friday. The Burr Pit featured El Presidente's cigar research activity, which is the first ground installation that I built. And so that was featured in their video. It was so cool. I actually got messages from folks. I'm like, hey, did you see that? I'm like, yes, I did. I saw it. It was really cool. So I'm enjoying it. I have El Presidente's station. I've got a different station, one station each for my daughters, which is really neat. and then I'm building the Apostles Lighthouse, and I may build one more surface installation in my system. There's a planet in that system that's got atmospheric geology, and so I would really like to put something down in a really nice either volcano field or a geyser field. So yeah, but anyway, so let's see here. One of the things I love about my T9, I've stripped it down. It's all just hauling. It's all cargo bays and autopilots. Like, there's no shields. There's no fuel scoop. There's nothing. It's just the very basics. So let's see here what we've got before I keep talking. I'll make sure that I buy the right stuff. Let's just go ahead and get CMM composites because I need something like 50,000 of them or some crazy number like that. So, but what I was saying is, like, with the automated stuff, I can just kind of set a route and sit back and let the autopilot take control, except when the star is below the horizon. I usually do a little SCO boost because I do have an SCO drive on this thing, and I'm surprised it hasn't melted my face at this point. So let's get up here. And so that is what we are doing today. We are buying CMM composites, which I had never heard of until this colonization system came out. I don't think I've ever heard of some of this stuff. My knowledge of inventory for cargo has really grown because I did not know that CMM composites was even a thing. Not even really convinced that I know what they are now, but here we are. All right, so I had to jump out a little bit. This thing turns like a bus. Now, those cruise ships, they're all in the 1% of liners, and they're all having delays. And there's always somebody on board who can't go through with the wedding. God, I love building the orbital, though, because I really can just point, click, and set it on autopilot. And there we go. Okay. So, Trailblazers. Let's do a recap real quick while we've got the time. So I think it was February 26th is when we got Trailblazers. It was the same day we had the Frontier unlocked. And it worked really well at first, and I've said this in a couple other videos, it's just kind of a recap. But it started acting weird, started having people losing their system architect status. And so it was on March the 5th, because I did a video that day, when they shut down the claim system. And so what that did is that stopped any new colonization claims. So if you already had claimed a system, you were able to go in and continue building in your system. You just weren't able to go out and claim a new star system. And part of that was twofold. It was the lost architect issue was one of them, but according to Frontier, and we know it's true now, is that it was a what they called a visual issue. So the database in the back end was showing that we were still the system architect, but somehow it wasn't updating with the user interface. So in the game, we were not able to see that we were still the system architect, but the game itself in the back end at Frontier Towers knew that's who we were. So there was some anxiety. Some people were concerned. You know, we were worried that what if we weren't able to get our systems back? What if we put in all this work and not get any credit for it? So it was concerning. It really was. But fortunately, they took care of that. It was down for about 2 weeks, and that was a long time. And in my opinion, I think that was a long time to be down without saying anything, because they didn't say a word. It was just, you know, hey, we're looking into it, and boom, nothing. So we had to wait, and I got all kinds of messages, and I got comments here. Hey, do you know when it's coming back? We heard this, or we heard that. There was nothing, and like I said in a previous video, I didn't think they'd just turn it back on. You know, there had to be an announcement, and then you know, they made an announcement on Friday the 14th. that they were bringing it back online. And it was, it wasn't the type of announcement I expected. It was almost a hesitancy in it. And, hey, we're turning this back on. Please let us know if it doesn't work. And so it was kind of like waiting on it to explode. And, like when you build something or you fix something, you're not really sure if it's going to work, and you just hope that it doesn't explode in your face. So you stand behind 3 feet of brick and then plug it in and hope that it doesn't blow up. That was kind of the sentiment that I got from that announcement. But there was a lot of concern that we hadn't heard anything, and then we got the information about restarting it. Okay, let's see here. Still at 1%. Long way to go, people. There we go. Made a little bit of cash off of that. CMM composites are expensive, but they make a good return. All right, let's go start our second run. Okay. Depending on how things go, we may just do 2 runs on this one, because hauling is one of those things where you either love it or hate it. I mean, the only reason I'm doing it is to build my station. This is not an activity that I would choose to do voluntarily in Elite. I don't think I ever have. I think the only times I've done it was pretty much when it was required for something, like a community goal or something. Anyway, so going back to the 14th, they turned it back on, and it took a long time to come back on. I mean, there were some people that were seeing system claim availability for hours before others were. So it took a little bit of time to propagate through the different instances of the game. Once it was up, we started noticing things like long Braven tunnels, like what you saw earlier in this video. We started seeing a lot of that. And then we started seeing server instability. We'd seen some before, but it got really bad after that March 14th update. And then, so late last week when they did the server tick, so the Thursday server maintenance, not all of the stations came back online. And a lot of us were kind of concerned, like, what's going on? Did we miss something? Then Frontier put out a notice that not all of the stations are going to come back online because there's too many of them, and their server maintenance can't really handle the that level of stations to get updated. And I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. And that has caused a lot of confusion and even more concern. And, there's some people out there that are absolutely losing their minds about it. And that's not the way to approach this. It really isn't. And one of the problems with a small game, and I say small because comparatively to other MMORPGs of the type, the problem with a small game built by a small studio like this is that the community sometimes will start to think that they understand how things work. We'll hear a little bit here and there, and then you'll have some people in the community that say they have experience in software development or engine management or all these other things that can be put together into a cohesive team to build a game like Elite Dangerous and manage it. But the community, we really don't know what goes on behind the scenes at Frontier. But we like to think we do, and sometimes we'll speak like we do. That happens a lot in various different sections, and I'm guilty of it as well. But the reality is that it's a beta process being evaluated on a main server. It's a really weird way to do things, and what we're seeing now is a breakdown of some of the basic systems that make the game tick, like the BGS is having problems now. And if the server maintenance is not able to keep things going, if I'm not able to have a station come online because they don't have enough server maintenance time on Thursday to get it running, that's concerning because now we're already behind. Because if they weren't able to do it all on Thursday of last week, well, by the time we hit Thursday of this week, there's going to be even more stations online. So it's just really, it's really concerning in the sense of, are we biting off more than we can chew? And is the galaxy going to be able to handle the level of colonization that commanders are dishing out? Are we going to break the game in a sense? And I don't think that we are. I don't think we're going to break it to a point where it doesn't work anymore, but I think some things are going to urgently have to be addressed in order for this colonization stuff to continue. All right, here, let's see. I think we'll do the same thing here. We'll buy CMM composites. I just need some. We'll do that. All right. And so, I was trying to think about it. What are some things I think that needs to be looked at? And one of the main issues that I have personally, I've heard it discussed, but it's not really been brought up as a complaint, ultimately as a broken aspect of it. I'm not sure if it's broken, but there needs to be a material balance that is consistent in this game. So honestly, I think that the multipliers and all the other stuff that's going on needs to stop. A Tier 3 Orbis should cost the same no matter what, because it's a standardized design being placed somewhere in the galaxy. It's the same station that Brewer built 10 of them yesterday. The cost of that needs to be the same, because commanders need to be able to plan for their expansion in different areas. So at least that's my opinion. I'd like to see Frontier providing more detail on how this is affecting the BGS. We know it is. We know the BGS is not behaving exactly like it's supposed to, so it would be nice to hear an acknowledgement from Frontier that they know the BGS is kind of whacked and they're working on it. And one concern I have, and I've never paid attention to it in Elite Dangerous until recently, is population. In games like Stellaris and Endless Space and a lot of the 4X strategy games, pops are how you generate resources. And even though it's a number on the screen, the game treats all of those pops typically as individuals, or at least as a generative number, and that can cause severe performance issues. So if I have a Stellaris game going and I have billions of pops, my game is going to suffer because the computer has to calculate the output and the consequences of having that many pops. And so I wonder if the population code has some kind of object attached to it that can cause performance issues. That is really scary, to be honest. If population matters in terms of performance in a system across the galaxy, oh man, this is going to be really devastating to overall performance going forward, especially when there are hundreds of thousands of new stations that are out there. Let's see. I think the last thing, and I'm not sure if there's a member of the community that will disagree with me on this one. I hope not. Trailblazers, if they're going to do an open beta like this and have everybody contributing, you have probably 10 to 13,000 people that are playing the game and contributing information. Trailblazers needs an alternative feedback tool for gathering performance and bug issues outside of the Frontier ticketing system, which, in my opinion, that system holds the record for being the worst bug reporting tool outside of not having one at all. Like, you're better off not having a bug reporting tool than to have the Frontier ticketing system for reporting bugs and issues with Elite Dangerous. It's crowdsourced. It's absolutely horrible. And I would like to see them have something a little bit easier. I mean, they're watching the forums, they're watching Discord, they're watching X Twitter, and they're watching a lot of social media for these kind of statements and things that are going on. I would just like to see something else that I can kind of guarantee works, because man, the Frontier ticketing system is atrocious. All right, I think I've covered everything. I don't want to sit here and rant. I'm not really complaining. I'm just kind of bringing up a few things that I think need to be addressed. It is still, I know people are saying, well, it's not a beta, it's on the main line. No, it's a beta. It is a beta. You got to pick, and I think we need to pick that this is definitely in the beta phases of development. It's a great idea. I think a lot of the issues that are plaguing us are secondary performance issues with the servers, long Braben tunnels and disconnections and all those kind of things. Those need to be fixed, certainly. But things like material balance, that can be worked in the future. We've got to nail down what is going on with the overall performance of the game in areas that are not related to Trailblazers. So we'll just have to wait and see. I know for me, I'm taking a break from colonization and hauling for a little while, and I'm going to go back out. I need to get exploring some more. I need to get working on out there and a couple of other things. So yeah, this will probably be my last hauling and Trailblazers commentary for a little while, unless something major happens and I need to come in and do an actual update. So one note, you got to be careful with these orbitals. If you haven't done one of these yet, make sure that your ship has a clear path to the landing port, because this new station design they have, the AI really sucks at landing, and it will slam you into the side of this thing, and it will really just mess you up. So make sure that you're paying attention to where you're going. Otherwise, you could end up taking a beating on your way in. So, hey, honestly, guys, I think that Trailblazers is not the disaster that it's being made out to be in some areas. I think that it's a solid update. It's got some problems like anything else, and it's great that Frontier are actually paying attention to what's going on. They really are listening, and they're taking that feedback into consideration. And with a game that is as complex as Elite Dangerous, with as many different things going on and what they're trying to do with it, there is very little more we can ask than just to have somebody listen to the player base and respond with the best they can. They've done it with materials. They're doing it with certain other things. We've just got to be patient, and we've got to keep giving that information in a way that's productive. We got to tell them, hey, this doesn't work because of XYZ. We know these things don't work. And hopefully over time, this could be really the galaxy-changing update that I think it was designed to be. All right. Okay, I think that's going to be it, everybody. I don't think I can handle doing another run for tonight. You guys, thanks for hanging out with me. I'm Commander Exorcist. Take care, fly safe, and I will see you out there.